Welcome to this edition of the Talk of Simsbury. My name is Dominique Avery. Well, it's finally spring, and in Simsbury, that means lots of bicycles are back on the roads. So that's what the Talk of Simsbury is about this month, bicycles. We're going to concentrate on what the bike community is planning for May, which is being observed across the country's National Bike Month. We're also going to learn more about something called the Simsbury Bike Challenge. Joining me as they did last year are Debbie Thibodeau and Diana Moody. Debbie is chair of Simsbury's National Bike Challenge and Safe Routes to School, and Diana Moody is a member of the Bike Pedestrian Advisory Committee and the chair of the Simsbury Bike Month. And she's also the local liaison to the Farmington Trails Council. So I'm going to start with you, Diana. The first time I ever heard of Simsbury and its relationship to bicycles was when we were designated as BFC, a bike-friendly community.
Yes.
What is a bike-friendly community?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Dominique, because it's actually a very important question, because we want to know what drives it, or more or less who drives who becomes a bicycle-friendly community. And there's a national organization. It's a nonprofit. It's called the League of American Bicyclists. And they've actually been around since 1880, when they started promoting better roads for people, for cars and people. And they were actually started in Newport, Rhode Island. So they have been around for a long time. So as they continued to grow, they got into bicycling, and what they're now building coast to coast is they want to build more thriving bicycle communities. And people are really want to flock, especially the millennials, want to flock to these bicycle-friendly communities because they want to get out of their cars more. They want to be able to leave their homes and be in a bikeable, walkable community. So it is building more communities, and it's a key to public health. It reduces traffic and improves the quality of life, and it's very good for economic development.
And tourism. I'm chair of the Simsbury Tourism Committee.
Tourism. You know, and I've talked to people here and people in the Valley, people in Simsbury, and they've told me, they said, you know, one of the reasons why I moved here is because of these bicycle trails. You know, I don't have to get in my car. So it really is a benefit to everybody, and it really is growing all over the nation, and it's a wonderful thing to see.
You know, it's actually, a few months ago, I went to a tag sale. I love going to tag sales, and it was at a synagogue in West Hartford. And by total coincidence, I got out of my car, and this gentleman got out of his car at the same time, and he welcomed me to the tag sale. It turned out he was the rabbi of the synagogue, and we got into conversation. I mentioned I was from Simsbury. He said, "Oh my God, my family and I go to Simsbury every single weekend, and we go to bike on your bike trails." And they do a piece every weekend.
Yeah. And you hear that everywhere. Yeah. You know, you hear that everywhere, and it's a wonderful thing.
And it's actually quite an honor to be a bike-friendly community, and actually a silver bike-friendly community. There's a long application process, and I think there's only like maybe 7 silver-level bike-friendly communities in New England. So, and we're the only ones in Connecticut.
Right. So. Did you guys go after this designation as a bike-friendly community?
Well, how it works was in 2010, we became a bronze bicycle-friendly community. And then in 2014, we applied to be a silver bicycle-friendly community. And how that works is the League of American Bicyclists, which I mentioned earlier, they have certain criteria. It's called the 5 E's. And you have to fill that criteria for each level. You can be a bronze, you can be a silver, you can be a gold, or you can be a platinum. So the bronze was not too difficult. Deb and I weren't here for the bronze, but I would say it's maybe like a gifted student in high school, you can get the bronze, and then to get the silver, you really move on to an MBA.
So is that based on the facilities that you have, or?
That's part of it. It's based on the 3 E's are engineering, education, evaluation, and planning.
Enforcement.
Enforcement, and one more.
That's
Education.
5. Education.
Education. You mentioned that, right?
Right. So it's based on the 5 E's, and you have to complete the criteria for each of those 5 E's, and then they grade you on each of those 5 E's to see if you've met the criteria for either the bronze or the silver or the gold or the platinum. And so when we received the silver in 2014, we were one of only 71 communities in the country that received silver. So it was really quite an honor. And we really have a lot of people to thank. We have the town to thank, we have the residents to thank, because it really takes a village, and we really couldn't have done it without the town of Simsbury.
And it is an incredible economic
Yes.
driver, I know that.
Yes.
Diana, this year you're the chair of the Simsbury celebration of National Bike Month. And so I wanted to get into a little about what is National Bike Month, why is it so important that we observe it, and it seems to me, I looked at what you're doing this year, it seems to me there's an enormous number of things going on. So kudos to you for
Right.
having organized this, but why don't you start telling us a little bit about it?
Well, there is a lot, and actually there's a little less this month that they have been. But National Bike Month is celebrated coast to coast. And by the way, you don't have to be a bicycle-friendly community to have Bicycle Month, and it happens during the month of May. And the reason for it is it helps the town to really showcase the benefits of bicycling within their community. So you can create your own events, you do your own thing. We also have Bike to Work Week. Within that, I'll go over some of the things that we do. So it's really up to the community. There's really no criteria because every community is different. Mm-hmm. So you look at your community and say, what can we do? So we do have a lot, as you said.
So I noticed, just to interrupt you for a second, I noticed there's some things already starting in April.
Yes.
May is Bike
Yes.
Month, but there's stuff going on. Why don't we start with April?
Yes, thank you. That's a great question. I'm glad you did, because there are some pre-Bike Month events, and one of the greatest events is the Farmington Valley Trails Council annual cleanup. This is the 6th year, I think 5th or 6th year, for the cleanup. And it's a valley-wide cleanup. Simsbury has been very, very active in helping with the cleanup. So we'd like to promote the cleanup for the Trails Council. And they have a free barbecue at Flaming Farm. And we've also done that for the past 6 years.
So what date is that? Do you know?
It is April 17th.
April 17th.
And
Which
the
is a
rain
Sunday.
date which is a Sunday, from 10 to 2. And then the rain date is April 24th.
So anybody can...
Anybody, so
Can be a family.
Family can...
Kids can pick
So-
up litter on the trail just
Yes.
as well. So
Yes, I have some great photos of Deb and her family where they've picked up lots of trash.
So do you meet in one central place, or how is it organized?
Oh, there's 5 staging areas in each town. There's one in Simsbury, Avon, Farmington, Unionville, and in Granby. So there's staging areas where the volunteers meet. They pick up their trash bags and the gloves and the things that they need, and then they bring it back to the dumpster. So it's I actually chaired that for 3 years, and it's really very heartwarming to see how enthusiastic these volunteers are to pick up trash on these trails. It's actually, believe it or not, it's a lot of fun picking up trash.
And very satisfying, I would think.
It is. And then we go to a Flaming Farm for barbecue.
That's always fun there.
And it's a great fun. Actually, that idea came from Larry Lanonis at Simsbury Free Bike. That was his idea to say, let's pay back to the volunteers. So now the Trails Council pays for that as a payback, and it's really been very, very successful. And there's ice cream from Tomato Farms. So
Best
can't
ice
beat
cream
that.
around.
Yes.
So I also noticed, I made a note that the Simsbury Historical Society has something called Everybody Rides exhibit, and that's also in April. Am I wrong about that?
Yes, and actually, I'm going to let Deb speak on that a minute because,
I can
yes,
take
Deb,
that.
why don't you talk about that?
The April 30th is the townwide innovation fair.
Oh,
so
that's
there
what
will
that
be
is. I see.
events at the high school and
Yeah.
at the Simsbury Library, as well as the Historical Society, and is part of the technology innovation exhibit, sort of on a grander scale at the Historical Society. There'll be
Right.
one component that has bicycles, and there actually has been an exhibit there
For a
with
while,
bikes,
right.
but they're changing it a little bit, and I understand they're going to be bringing in some adaptive bikes, and with the theme of Everybody Rides, they're going to be showing different technology that's developed to allow people of various abilities to bicycle.
Right.
So
I also noticed, and I'm not sure where I noticed this, was that there was a workshop on April 22nd. It's almost like a day-long workshop on bicycle education. Is that something you're involved in, or I don't know where I got that from?
That is in here somewhere.
Well,
It may not be on this calendar. It's actually Simsbury Public Schools,
Okay.
and they are sponsoring a Train the Trainer workshop, primarily for PE teachers who want to learn how to teach students bike safety education. And Simsbury has been a leader in teaching bike safety education in the elementary schools. We're one of the only programs that offers it as part of PE in a public school in Connecticut. And all of their instructors have gone through training by a certified cycling instructor to learn how to do it. And 2 years ago, and again this year, we are sponsoring or hosting a workshop so that we can finish off training a few of our people that have come on and missed it 2 years ago, but also to help other communities train their instructors.
That's at the library. Does that cost something?
No, that's I believe it's at Central School,
Central
and
School, okay.
it's a registration through Simsbury schools, and again,
Okay.
it's primarily for educators.
Okay. So then
It's an important event.
Right. I noticed it. I thought it sounded interesting. So the official kickoff for Bike Month, May 1st,
yes, it is.
and I saw that there's something called Trail History Ride at the library. What is that?
Well, actually, this is great because it's the second year, and again, Larry Linonis is involved with this, and also someone from the East Coast Greenway. And they gave a talk last year at the library that was very successful. The room was completely filled, and then after the talk, everybody goes for a short ride. So it was so successful, we decided to do it again this year due to popular demand. So that is our kickoff, and that will be held at the library.
And is that also the day that the Free Bikes is opening up their free bikes?
Yes, it is. And actually, because it's so warm, it may open a little sooner, but that is the official opening date. But look around, check out Fitzgerald's, check out the places that they have Simsbury Free Bike, check out on Facebook, because you may be able to get bicycles sooner because of the warm weather.
All right.
Okay.
So there is also, right at the beginning, I'm not sure what day, the Board of Selectmen's ride. What is that?
The Board of Selectmen ride, and we've done this every year, that's May the 5th, and that people meet at the town hall, and anybody's invited, and it's at 5 o'clock. We're starting it later this year because we're hoping more people can attend. So that's also been a lot of fun and a lot of success. So we ride, and after the ride, we have ice cream. And then we also have weekly rides. And so some of the calendar, it looks like it's busy, and it is busy. But some of them are filled with weekly rides, and I'll just give you sort of a little bit of a breakdown, but not too much in detail. I want to start with the first one, which is every Tuesday, and this is really a great ride. as Debbie will attest to, because it's going to be given by what's called an LCI, a League Certified Instructor from the League of American Bicyclists. And anybody that attends these rides, that participates in at least 8 to 10 rides, they can get a certificate for that. So when you take these rides, you'll learn how to fix a flat, you'll learn about etiquette, you'll learn about safety. And the meeting will be on Iron Horse Boulevard every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. So that's a really big
6
bonus.
p.m. or
It's
6 a.m.?
6 p.m. So those will, and you get that certificate, which is really sort of nice to have. So that's the benefit of that. Wednesdays, we have the bike seller rides, and that's also at 6 p.m. So every Wednesday you can meet at the bike seller, and that's right at your own pace. You know, the rides that we give, except for the Eastern Bloc, which I'll mention in a moment, because there are different levels of cyclists. They're really ride at your own pace, because what we want to do is we want to encourage people to ride. Everybody doesn't have to be a fast cyclist. The idea is to get out and ride and to have fun. So that's what we encourage. The other rides that we have are Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays, and that is with Eastern Bloc, as you see on here. And they have rides called B rides, C rides, and those are they're very specific to the person's ability. So when you see the calendar, and I'll tell you
where they can
find it. There's detail of all of the rides. So you'll see the calendar, if you could hold yours up, because mine's kind of messy.
Yeah. This is the front.
That's the front, and then you can see all the detail here.
And where do they get that?
Okay, so you can find it on our website, which is Simsbury.bike, and you can also find it on the town's website, which is great. And how you find out the information, anything with bicycling, you have to find it under recreation and go under parks and recs.
I actually looked for it the other day, and
Yes, a lot of people, so, hopefully, they are going to have information on the home page.
So that will
for
take you
Bike
to there,
Month.
yeah.
So hopefully
Right.
that'll do that. They'll have that on the crawler. And they will have certain events on the calendar, so you'll have links that you can go to.
I'm going to interrupt you. I want to get to Debbie.
Yeah.
We're almost halfway done.
Oh.
So we haven't been ignoring you.
Nope.
I want to know, what is this Simsbury Bike Challenge? What's the purpose, and what does it do for the community?
All right. Simsbury Bike Challenge is an online program and community event that is designed to encourage people to bike for recreation or fitness or transportation. And it's actually part of a bigger program, the National Bike Challenge, which has been going on for several years. And we joined on last year. And what the National Bike Challenge allows organizations to do is to create a local challenge within their national challenge. And the goal is basically to get people on bikes, and they log their bike rides on the National Bike Challenge website. And you compete for prizes. You get to see what other people are doing in your community or nationally, and they offer prizes within our within our local challenge. We offer prizes locally, and all of our challenge prizes are based on random drawing. They're not based on riding lots and lots of miles. So basically, you go for a bike ride anywhere, anytime, during the 5 months, May to September, so the main biking season. And you can either log on to the computer and plug that number in, the number of miles you rode, or you can actually sync it with various apps that people use usually for either biking or running. Strava or Map My Ride are the two more popular ones, where you can use the data from that, and it'll connect to your profile. And it just keeps track of miles and or how many miles people have ridden.
So you said this is the second year we did.
This is our second year. We did amazing last year. We introduced it. We had no idea how well it would be embraced. I personally had been participating for about 3 years, and I was, one of 3 people in Simsbury that had ever used it. And I used it because it motivated me to bike. And you get 20 points for riding on any given day, plus the number of miles you rode. And so, you get into a mindset of, oh, well, I could ride to the post office today. I'm not bringing my kids. I don't have a lot of packages. And if I do that, then I get 24 points.
Sort of like wearing a Fitbit or something.
It's exactly like using a Fitbit. So it's, it's the same idea as many of these different fitness challenges, where by writing it down and making it public, you are motivated to do just a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. You get competitive.
So, right. Exactly. Yeah. And this thing that we created last year just got bigger and bigger. I had no idea. We ended up registering 100 people. We logged 64,000 miles.
Wow.
In 5 months, those 100 people. And we actually came in 5th in the country for our local advocacy challenge.
Wow.
And, we had no idea that we were going to be competing, be competitive at the national level. And that's based on per 1,000 residents. So, it is based on the size of our community.
Right.
But we were very excited. We found that we were able to meet new people. We had cyclists in the community that were able to meet other cyclists through this as just a way to connect. And we had a party at the end where people could meet some of these people they were competing with, and it was actually a lot of fun. And we had some cool prizes too.
It sounds like fun if you're a biker, which I'm not.
And actually, we had, the interesting thing is that we had all different types of people join the challenge. So obviously Diane and I and many of the people we work with that are advocates, we ride a lot. But we had a woman who was an adaptive rider who rides because it's easier to get around town on her bike than to load her wheelchair. We had someone who was rehabilitating after a hip surgery, and this was a way to motivate her to keep active. We had some bike commuters that bike to work that we didn't know about, and we're actually really interested in documenting those commute miles. And the challenge allows people to specify whether they were biking for recreation or transportation. And that transportation data point is important for us as we advocate for more trails like the connector trail to Terriffill that will eventually be a commuter route to Hartford.
So during this bike month, are the schools doing something as well?
Yes.
Which one?
Yes.
Okay. I'll do the
Deb
school.
is involved with the school.
I'm involved with I'm involved with Latimer Lane School for their Safe Routes to School program, and three of the elementary schools have Safe Routes to School programs, and basically that's a national program to encourage biking and walking to school and to help communities improve conditions so that more kids bike and walk. And that means sort of attitudes, education, and as well as the infrastructure at the schools. And so those 3 schools will all have bike to school events. They've all been doing them for several years, and it's just a lot of fun. You get hundreds of kids on bikes, all biking to school. We stagger the events because the police support every single event, and they can't support 3 schools at the same time. So we have them kind of sprinkled throughout the month.
So you have Latimer, Tooten,
and Squadron
Line.
And it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun because we have volunteers who help escort the students to the school. Yeah. And rain or shine, it's really a lot of fun.
And the kids love it.
And they love it. Yeah.
Before we run out of time, I just wanted to bring up something. Bob Maxon, who is the weatherman at Channel 30, posted on a social media website last week that he was riding through an intersection, making a left-hand turn onto Stratton Brook, and a bicycle rider went right through the red light and right in front of him, and he came very close to hitting the guy and killing him. And it just reminded me that we should maybe touch a little bit. I know you're doing another show on safety, but the rules of the road before we end. And my guess is that the bicycle rider wasn't paying attention. But right, so take it away. What's your reaction?
It's important for the motorists and the cyclists to really pay attention. And one of the things I tell everybody is when you see a cyclist or you're a motorist and you see a cyclist, the first thing that should come to your mind is safety. You know, is this person going to be safe? Am I going to be safe? So to me, the cyclist probably was not thinking. So the rules of the road apply to both the cyclist and the motorist. And sometimes that gives cyclists a bad name because they get so angry at the cyclist. But it does come down to education, which we're trying to promote more. You see this, is that sign down here, 3 feet? You know, to give the cyclist 3 feet.
So every driver has to give the cyclist 3 feet to ride in.
That's right. So it's really safety first. And we, as I said, we are trying to promote that more and more. We give classes actually during Bike Month. There are some bicycle classes, there are some safety classes that we help promote that. So, did you have anything to say, Deb, on that?
Yeah, part of our goal is to educate both motorists and cyclists, and they both have a responsibility. So, you know, there can be animosity, but basically both of them need to be responsible and be courteous. And unfortunately, cyclists usually lose if there is a crash.
Right. Well, that was Bob Maxon's concern. I mean, he was terribly frightened and shaken up.
Right.
And because he could have killed the guy.
Right. Nobody, no motorist wants to hurt someone. So, we do want the cyclists to follow the rules as well. And we have lots of safety information on our website, the www.simsbury.bike. There's an education tab, and under that we have the laws that apply to cyclists in Connecticut. We have information. There's some nice brochures. This is a new one that was put out by Bike Walk Connecticut that talks about, give respect, get respect, share the road Connecticut. So, that's really saying that really if we're both respectful, it keeps everybody safe.
Where can people get that? Is that like Fitzgerald's or?
We haven't put them out yet, but we will be distributing them. But you can pull that up online. There's a link to it on our website or on Bike Walk Connecticut's website. There are little mini videos that are 1 minute long that give important tips for cyclists on how to minimize risk. So there's lots of good information there.
Right, and Bike Walk Connecticut is also another important organization. It was a nonprofit because they work with legislation on bike safety. So you really can find out a lot of information there.
So the one thing we didn't talk about, we didn't really highlight quickly because we only have a minute left. You mentioned Bike Work Week.
Bike to Work Week.
And then there's an event there at the Redstone Pub.
Yes, their Bike to Work Day, which is May the 20th. And we do have a Bike to Work Day. And so the cyclists that are riding to work, they meet on Iron Horse Boulevard between 6 and 8 a.m. And then the happy hour, which everybody is invited, the whole town is invited, is at the Redstone Pub. There will be food. And so please come and join us. And you do not have to ride to work. We're just inviting you to talk to us, to mingle with us, to talk about cycling, to talk about safety, to talk about anything that you would like to discuss.
We will have literature. We usually get freebies from the state. We'll have some bike lights and various other things that you can come pick up. So.
Terrific. Our time is up. Thanks to everyone here at SCTV for getting the show on the air. Thanks especially to my guests, Diana Moody and Debbie Thibodeau. It was fascinating as usual. I love having you every year.
Yes.
Finally, thank you for joining us. If you missed any portion of the show, you can always find it on our website at simsburytv.org or on YouTube. And don't forget to like SCTV on Facebook. I'm Dominique Avery. See you next time for the Talk of Simsbury.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.